The Day of Demand had been announced months before. Guests had already arrived from worlds across the galaxy, and delicious aromas from the banquet being prepared wafted through the palace halls. The weather had failed to cooperate with the celebration plans. Low, dark clouds hung heavily over the city of Alderaan, threatening a downpour. But even the impending storm felt dramatic and grand in a way. It was the perfect setting for a princess to claim her right to the crown of Alderaan. Ow! Leia made a face. That pulls!
And it's going to keep pulling,
promised WA-2V, Leia's personal attendant droid. Her bluish metal fingers swiftly wove one final braid in the complicated traditional style.
Today of all days, you must look your best.
You say that every day. As a little girl, Leia had only ever wanted to tie her hair back in a tail. Her parents had said she was free to do as she liked. But 2V had held firm. Her programming demanded that she present the princess in grand style, and not even the princess herself could say otherwise.
It's true every day,
2V insisted, coiling the braid in a loop and pinning it in place.
Standards are even higher for special occasions.
Leia felt a small quiver in her belly, equal parts nerves and anticipation. This was the biggest day in her life since her first name day, when her parents had taken her into the throne room and declared her their daughter by adoption and by love. She shook off the thought. That time, all she had to do was be a baby in her mother's arms. This time, she'd have to stand up for herself. Once the hairstyle was done, Leia gratefully slipped into the clothing she and 2V had compromised on. A simple white dress for her, bold silver jewelry for 2V. Just as she toed into her satiny slippers, the orchestral fanfare swelled from the throne room, echoing through the palace's corridors. It felt as though her parents were personally knocking on her door.
One more thing,
2V pleaded. She rolled the cabinet on the small sphere she had for a base, then swerved back with a silver headband, which she neatly fitted into the braids so its pearl charm hung at the center of Leia's forehead.
Yes, that's it. You look absolutely stunning. I work miracles, I really do.
Leia shook her head in amusement. Thanks a lot. Oblivious, 2V shooed her charge toward the door.
Hurry! They're all waiting!
It's not like they can start without me, 2V. Still, Leia picked up the tail of her gown and hurried into the corridor. She didn't want to be late. The princes and princesses who had made their demands in ancient times had sometimes had to fight their way to the throne room. It was meant to be a moment of strength and command. In other words, not a moment to prove you couldn't even show up on time. Alderaan's royal palace had been the work of more than a millennium. Their monarchy was one that dedicated itself to serving its people, so they'd never built high spires or commanding towers to dominate the landscape. Instead, new chambers were added every few decades, creating a sprawling labyrinth where modern data centers and hollow chambers existed side by side with ancient rooms hewn from stone. Leia knew each hallway, each door by heart. As a small child, she'd reveled in exploring some of the most shadowy, out-of-the-way passages. Sometimes she thought she might have been the only person in centuries to have found every single room in the palace.